I got my full moon shirt on. I do. Welcome everybody. My hair was so nice and like it went really nicely curly. But anyways, enough about the hair. Welcome everybody. Yeah. Are we ready? Are you ready for this? I am. I have I'm just a very feisty person today. I can feel that energy. I can feel the movement and the changes coming forward. And I can feel my irritation. There's an irritation. There's an irritation that's there. Let's see if I do a live, and I'm going to do live on top full moon Capricorn. Done. Go live. 1, 2, 3. Let's see what happens. See what happens. I'm live on Facebook. Ooh. And I am live on YouTube. Yeah. So it's not going to be a long one because I have an appointment at 11. So I just wanted to come on here. I'll probably come on later again because, man, um, I can, I listened to the Leo King this morning. He's on the YouTube. He's on YouTube, but I do subscribe um, to his page. So just listening to what he's saying, I'm just like, yes, yes, yes. And I know what he said is really going to piss a lot of people off. And because it's getting people out of their rut. And I do that sometimes. I do think that, when I was talking about retirement and my $5 experiment, that's me stepping out of what I normally do. And it's stepping into something new, trying to get people to really think beyond where they are. And that's where this moon is. It's getting you to think beyond where you are and not continue in the rut, right? Because my mantras and that I have, oh, I can't do this. I'm going to work for the rest of my life. I'm going to be poor, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, no, why? Why? What reason? There's no reason for it. Is it going to take hard work and determination to change some of the things I need to change? Fuck yeah. Mars with Uranus? Man, I don't think people are ready. Well, it's Uranus and Gemini. People will not be ready. And they will not be ready for what the fuck's coming down the chute at all. And I mean, I've been doing my predictions and doing what I've been doing for a hell of a long time. And people say things to me and people get pissed off at me or they stop listening to me. Or I post something and then of course I get a notice from my kids. You shouldn't do that because that's, your business. My business is also about a truth sayer, right? Because this astrology is opening up the biggest fucking door for people to go through. And if you are doing it the same way, if you're just staying stagnant, and there's been readings I've been doing lately, and I've been saying to people, it's like time for the change. And the excuses come through. And I understand, I can't do this. Oh my God, it's going to disrupt all of this. And I'm going to, blah. And I'm just like, this energy is coming up and it's uprooting. It's uprooting. It's getting you to do things different. Hence, throughout my life, I've always been do I have a studio? Fuck no. Uh, I'll use the laundry room. I will figure out a different way of doing it. I'll go into a park to get out what I'm going to do. Uh, People don't like, how I do it. That's fine. I also feel like this is also a time where people have to be loud. They have to be out there. They can't hide away. I see, the thing is when I do readings or I do things for people, I see the potential for what they should be doing or where they should be going. And I see it and I feel it. And then I see them do nothing. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Or, and and that's not to do any blame game or shame or anything else. It's like, wow, okay, all right, I gotta let it be. I gotta let it be. I got let them do what they have to do. It's their journey, right? And I've done that with my kids. They got to do what they got to do. They're gonna fall flat on their ass. They want to go into that relationship. They want to do that. Does mom know best? Sometimes I guess not. And it's like all I can do is give it up to the Holy Spirit and ask for inner peace and a miracle. It's like when people, have already talked about this, but my daughter did this to me the other days about her dog, and she's like, "Oh, look at that! It's one of your grandbabies." No, it's not one of my fucking grandbabies. That's a dog. I am not. No, 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 no. You all know I love animals. I do. I love them, but there's no, no. And that's the whole thing. And Leo King even mentioned it on his live, and I knew this where the birth rate is dropping, but the rate of animals, pets, is rising. What the fuck is that? People are putting animals ahead of human beings. And I know people are like, oh, but animals are just so kind. So this, well, maybe if we put a little bit more compassion into our own human beings and into one another, the world would be a hell of a lot better. We're very good at picking out and looking at things that are wrong. And trust me, I could do that very, very easily. And this is, I don't know, it's just like something inside of me is just like finally saying, well, I've been trying to get people to go onto a new road, trying to get them to see things in a new way, talking about, and this is where I'm going to be talking more about finances, getting people to really look at what the fuck they're doing. And I'm in that boat too. I got to look at it and I got to be serious about this. But there's no way, like, for me to go back to work, no. But a lot of people are like, "Oh, I gotta do that. That's what I gotta do," And it's just like, you know, I see, there's jobs that I see that are killing people, but they're going back to do it. I see jobs where people have had shit happen to them, but they go back to them. Well, we have no choice, and I'm just like, wow. You may not know what the choice is because you're not allowing for you to walk through it. Because the opportunities are there. Or you stay in a spot. Well, this is where we are. This is what. If the opportunity came that for Steve and I, and something happened and said, "Hey, you got to move." Let's say we're going to move to, I don't know, Barbados, the Virgin Islands. Some opportunity came where it said, "Okay, here you go. This is gonna be an opportunity for you to move." Damn right, so I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna jump through that hoop. Not gonna know everything about it. Gonna have to figure my way out. I'm gonna have to figure out what it is to do everything. But people are so hung up on figuring the figuring before they actually go through the walk. And this is a shake-up time, and a lot of people are gonna get shooken up. They really are. They're not going to like some of the things that are going to be unfolding over this next little while, because honestly, the biggest transits are this week. And I don't think that's, what's the biggest transit this? I don't think that's the question. After doing this astrology for a hell of a long time, and I don't experience astrology as a separate transit anymore. I don't see Mercury retrograde over here and the full moon over here and Jupiter changing signs over here and Mars over there. I see it as I said the other day, as an architecture. I see one living movement. It is that dance that is happening within the sky. And this week, this isn't 5 separate events. This is boom. That's what I got. Boom. In fact, I would go so far as to say this is one of the biggest doorways I've ever watched open in astrology. My heart's just going, "Whoa." And not because one transit is rare, right? But because of how they are all working together. That's what it is. When you look at the transits and you look at the way the astrology is and you look at the energy, it's not like one over here and one over there, right? It all works. It's a synchronicity to it all, and it's beautiful. And the full moon in Capricorn, it's a threshold. Mercury station retrograde just before it. Jupiter leaves Cancer only hours after to enter Leo. And then Mars just entered Gemini, and it's moving and closing up to little old Mr. Uranus. That isn't random. There's no randomness when it comes to the sky. It's one story, one story. And the story isn't asking what's going to happen, it's asking, who are you becoming? And who are you going to become? That's why I keep using the doorway and these doorways opening, because I don't think this doorway opens into another version of our old life. I think I really do. That version is done. It's closed. And if you go back to the end of December and the beginning of January, many of you have already heard the calling. Something cracked, something shifted, something no longer fits. And maybe it's a career, maybe it's your relationship, maybe it was the identity you were trying so hard to hang on to. The calling already came, and the full moon isn't bringing the calling, right? It isn't asking why you haven't answered it yet. Mercury retrograde in Cancer is fascinating to me because people always panic when they hear Mercury retrograde, like, Mercury retrograde. I think Mercury retrograde is simply the door, a sign of the door to slow down and look at things honestly. Take a deep dive and look at things really honestly and review it. Where am I going? What am I doing? Right now, what we are having to do personally, and that's going to be part of my Patreon, is a lot of things that we have to I have to go through a lot of paperwork because I have to submit a lot of stuff within this week and get it out there, right? And hopefully it comes together by the end of July. Um, but that's what I got to do, right? I got to step forward. I got to start making these changes. And I feel like that's part of what we all have to do. And I know many people are hanging on to, I got careers in their life, but there's some other opportunities that are coming in. But right now, maybe they're too afraid to let those things go or make that move to a new place. And that's a hard one, to make that move, to give up everything that you got around you and say, no, I'm going. It is very difficult to do. And sometimes it's taking that plunge. But what are you emotionally gripping onto because it makes you feel safe? And what is that hamster wheel? I've been calling it for weeks. The jobs that drain but pay the bills, the relationships that are comfortable but no longer are alive, the routine that keeps you busy but isn't taking you anywhere, the identity you outgrown. The hamster wheel feels safe. Yeah, it does. But you're already paying the price. You're paying the price with your life. And then we have this full moon in Capricorn. Capricorn doesn't care about excuses. It really doesn't. Capricorn isn't here to, it's not comfort. Capricorn says, what structure are you building your life on? What are you waiting for? And these are questions I'm asking myself with many different angles. And what are you actually doing? And the full moon is squaring Saturn, which is squaring my Jupiter. It has just separated from Neptune, Realities meets illusion, and discipline meets dreams. You want it, you got to be disciplined about it. You got to start doing and crossing your T's, dotting your I's, and doing the work that needs to be done. And Saturn asks, it's going to be the very uncomfortable question: what aren't you doing? What aren't you doing? Not because you can't, but because you're afraid. Mars enters Gemini. This is where I think everything changes. Mars in Gemini doesn't want you sitting around thinking about the experiment. Mars in Gemini with Uranus is an explosion. An explosion. Ooh. And it's something that you probably didn't even think of. I've heard astrologers say, "Oh, Uranus and Mars. Oh, it's earthquakes. It's earthquakes." I'm like, "Yeah, well, Uranus is always an earthquake. Like it shatters. It is something more, something you haven't even thought of." Because the experiment, launch the YouTube channel, take the class, leave the job, move, write the book, start the business, have the conversation, take the bus, go to the thrift store, film your life instead of waiting for the perfect life. Experiment. Right? Because perfection isn't what's being rewarded anymore. Movement is. Then, only hours later, Jupiter enters Leo. I love the symbolism. Jupiter has spent the last year teaching emotional foundations when it comes to Cancer. It's about the home, safety, security, belonging, healing. Now, Jupiter says, beautiful. Now go live it. Get out there. Not hide, not wait, not prepare forever. Live. And here's where I think Chiron in Taurus becomes incredibly important. Where are you settling? I'll settle for this. I'll settle because it's good enough. I'll settle because I'm getting older. I'll settle because at least it's stable. Interesting. So astrology isn't asking you to settle. It's asking you to remember your value. Now, what I make now, because I want to make this personal. I've had, um, I've done this for 15 odd years or more, 20 odd years, being an psychic medium, astrology. I've always done things with the full moon and the new moon. Started with the full moon, then, and started doing more with the new moon energy, studied the paganism and witchcraft and all of that. And now I feel like, no, I've done all of this. Now I'm moving away from it. That's why I'm doing the Patreon, because I want to know more. I want to understand more. I want to understand the financial, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and how to do it, and how to create something at 62. Why the fuck not? A lot of people say, "Well, it's too late. It's too old." I've heard that. I've heard that excuse a lot. But you know what? It's time. Something I was holding on to because of who I thought I was supposed to be. Definitely will still do readings for people. I have my sale on, you want a 20-minute reading, it's $65. Um, a lot of things that I thought were extremely important are not, and I'm letting them go. A lot of things that I do, my filming, I do things from my home, starting to film more about my life as I go for my outings and my little walk and doing my $5 experiment. I'm showing you my real life because I realize I don't need to look successful. I just need to be authentic, and that's who I feel I've always been. And that's what this astrology is teaching me. And maybe it's teaching you the same thing. What false masks are you still wearing? Not because you're trying to fool anyone, but because you've just forgotten what's underneath. You've forgotten who you are. The greatest risk right now isn't failure. The greatest risk is becoming better at living life that no longer belongs to you. And this full moon isn't asking you to be reckless. It's asking you to stop negotiating with your soul. What have you got? What do you got left to lose? Because if you're living on the hamster wheel, you're already losing. You're losing your creativity, you're losing your passion, you're losing your joy, you're losing your life one comfortable day at a time. And the next few weeks do matter. Not because everything magically changes overnight. It doesn't. But it's those steps that you're doing to make it happen. But because they're asking you to set your direction. This is the tour bus loading to get on, and it's wonderful. And if you don't, you can still walk, but it's going to be a much harder journey. So my invitation today is simply stop asking what the astrology is going to do. Ask yourself, where am I settling? Where am I hiding? Where am I emotionally attached to something that no longer has life in it? Because this door isn't opening into more of the same. It's opening into a completely different chapter. The question isn't whether the door is open, it already is. The only question left is whether you have the courage to walk the fuck through. It's a lot. There's a lot there, and I can feel it, and I can feel that edginess with all of this energy that's coming through, and it's to get people to wake the fuck up. But all I can do is what I do. All I can do is just let you know this is what's happening. I can do my warnings, I can do my predictions, and I love when I do my predictions and then people come in and then they send me all this fucking stuff. It's like, "Did you see this? Did you know this is happening?" I've been telling you about that for how long? How many people sent me this shit on CERN? I've been telling you about that for over a month now. Did you look at? I'm like, "Yeah, I know. It's on Mercury Retrograde. There's a reason they're doing it." I mean, I don't mind sending it to me, but it's like almost like, yeah, give me the fucking acknowledgement. Maybe that's what it is. It's like, oh yeah, look at, I'm acknowledging what you've said. Maybe that's my ego. Probably is. But just to have that um of saying, yeah, you know what? Thank you. And I think that's also where I'm heading to. It's like having appreciation not only for myself, but having people around that appreciate what I do and saying those thank yous. Sometimes I just don't get it. And maybe that's just on me, right? That's my thing. But it's one of those things that is just like, that's why I'm changing a lot of things that I'm doing and moving into a different direction because it's putting myself out there, looking at where I want to go, and not only appreciating myself, but making sure that people around me appreciate me. And that's a big one because sometimes it's like, yeah, okay, interesting. It's an interesting thing. And but you got to do something different. If you're staying in the same hamster wheel, if you're staying in something that you don't like, whew, it's going to be fucking hard, right? Anyways, come over to my Patreon and watch me go through the ups and downs and all of the craziness of my life and what it means to do what I'm doing, you know? You appreciate me. Thank you. And just let's go on a journey. Let's go on a journey. Have a blessed one. Gotta go. The Lord and Lady watch over you. Bye bye.